The galaxy didn't expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. In the huge, shining hall of the Galactic Concord, thousands of alien species gathered under one roof made of crystal and light. The air smelled of strange spices and clean metal. Everyone sat in seats that floated a little above the floor. Their bodies came in all shapes. Some had many arms, some had glowing skin, some looked like living clouds of gas. At the center of everything stood the tall speaker platform. The Kelthar delegate stepped forward first. He was very big, with thick scales and 6 strong limbs. His voice boomed like thunder across the hall. "Today we vote on the human question," he said. "The small blue world called Earth has joined our space lanes. Their ships are slow, their weapons are weak, their people fight each other without reason. They use too many resources. They refuse to follow our rules of peace. This cannot continue." Many heads nodded. The Vexari delegate floated up next. Like glass and lights moved inside her. "We have watched them for many cycles," she said. "Their numbers grow fast. They build cities that cover their land. They burn fuel that poisons their air. They make bombs that can break planets, yet they point them at themselves. The Concord must act. We must bring order before they bring chaos to us all." Voices rose in agreement. Some species clapped their many hands. Others sent pulses of light that meant yes. A few stayed quiet, but no one spoke against the plan. The vote began. Numbers flashed on huge screens around the hall. One by one the species pressed their markers. Almost all said yes. Only a handful said no, or stayed silent. The human observer sat in the back row. He was small compared to most aliens. His name was Marcus Hale. He wore a plain gray suit and his face showed no feeling. He had come alone. No big team, no guards. Just him and a small tablet to record words. Marcus listened to every speech. He wrote nothing down. Happen. NP. When the vote ended, the speaker platform lit up green. "The motion passes," the big voice said. "The human homeworld will be brought under Concord protection. Their military will be removed. Their leaders will step down. Governors from approved species will take control. This begins now. A fleet is already moving toward their star system." Marcus stood up slowly. He walked to the center of the hall. Many eyes followed him. Some laughed quietly. Others looked curious. He stopped under the bright light and looked up at the huge faces above him. "You make a choice today," he said in a calm voice. "You think we are weak. You think we will bow. You are wrong. We do not want your protection. We do not want your governors. We want to be left alone. That is all." The Kelthar laughed loud. His laugh shook the air like wind. "You speak brave words, little human," he said. "But words will not stop our ships. Your planet will learn soon enough. Go home. Prepare your people for new order." He turned and walked out of the hall. The doors closed behind him with a soft hiss. Outside in the cold corridor, he pulled out his communicator and sent one short message. No. He did not wait for an answer. He knew none would come. 3 days later, the Concord fleet arrived in the Sol system. 2,000 warships filled the dark space between planets. Their hulls shone silver and black. Their weapons glowed with ready power. The lead ship sent a message to every receiver on Earth and Mars and the scattered colonies. "Surrender now," the message said. "Give up all weapons. Accept Concord rule. Dismantle your nations. Hand over control of your world. You have 72 hours. If you refuse, we will burn your cities from the sky." On Earth, people watched the message on screens in homes and streets and bunkers. Leaders met in hidden rooms. Soldiers loaded guns. Scientists checked old plans. Families held each other tight. In some places, people cried. In others, people got angry. People just stared at the sky and waited. 72 hours passed. Earth sent one answer back. No. That was all. No long speech, no list of demands. Just the word no, repeated on every channel. The fleet waited no more. Bright beams of light shot from the warships. They hit the biggest cities first. Towers fell like broken toys. Fires spread fast across land. Whole regions turned bright, then dark again. Billions died in the first day. The sky rained hot metal and ash. The oceans boiled in places where beams struck deep. The moon bases went silent, one by one. The Mars domes cracked open and air rushed out. The Concorde ships stayed high above. They did not land. They did not need to. They watched the world burn and sent reports back to the core worlds. Victory is complete, they said. The human threat is gone. Their resistance lasted less than 1 week. We return to peace. In the Great Hall the delegates clapped again. Drinks were poured, music played, species danced in their strange ways. Kael'thar raised a glass to the new quiet. The Vexari sang a song of order restored. Everyone felt safe again. The problem was solved. The galaxy could move forward without fear. Far below on the broken surface of Earth, smoke still rose from ruined places. Survivors crawled from shelters. They found bodies. They found silence. They found anger. No one spoke of surrender. No one waved white flags. They picked up what weapons remained. They carried injured friends to hidden caves. They looked at the sky with hard eyes. In one deep bunker under cold mountains, a group of people sat around a small light. An old soldier spoke first. "They think we are finished," he said. "They think fire ends us. They are wrong. We start again. We build again. We wait. We learn. We hit back when they stop looking." Around him heads nodded. No one cheered. No one cried. They just listened and planned. In other places, the same thing happened. Small groups in dark tunnels, in hidden ships drifting far from the sun, under red dust. Everyone shared the same thought. The galaxy made a mistake. They woke something that does not sleep. The stars stayed quiet for now. The Concorde celebrated their easy win. They told stories of the short war. They warned young ones about dangerous species that once lived on a blue world. But no one noticed the small movements in the dark. No one saw the lights flicker in hidden places. No one heard the soft sounds of tools and machines starting to work again. The galaxy thought the story was over. They thought humans were a memory. They thought wrong. The galaxy didn't expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. Months passed after the fire from the sky stopped falling. The Concorde ships still circled high above Earth like patient vultures. Their scanners swept the ruined cities and empty fields, looking for movement. They found little. The surface looked dead. Smoke still rose from some places, but no large groups gathered. No signals came. No ships tried to leave. The invaders felt safe. They built new bases on the broken land. Tall towers of smooth metal rose where old skyscrapers once stood. Drones flew constant patrols, shining bright lights at night. Ground troops marched in neat lines, wearing heavy armor that made them look like walking machines. The Kael'thar soldiers laughed when they walked through old streets. They kicked aside burned cars. They pointed at cracked statues of humans and made jokes in their rough language. The Vexari observers floated behind them, recording everything for reports back home. The species was shattered. Their spirit was gone. Order had returned. Puppet leaders were chosen from the few humans who agreed to work with the new rulers. These men and women wore clean clothes and spoke soft words on screens. They told survivors to stay calm, to follow rules, to report trouble. They promised food and safety if everyone obeyed. Most people listened because they were tired and hungry and scared. But in secret places, anger grew quiet and steady, like a fire under ash. Deep under the Antarctic ice, a group worked in dim light. The cave had thick walls that blocked all scans. Small generators hummed and kept the air warm. Engineers sat at tables made from salvaged metal. They studied pieces of alien tech brought back from crashed drones. One woman named Lena Torres held up a cracked power cell. She turned it slowly in her hands. "This thing makes their shields strong," she said. "If we understand it, we can break it." A young man next to her nodded. He was called Raj, mechanic before the attack. Now he rebuilt things that could kill. They did not talk much. They drew plans on scraps of plastic. They tested small devices in sealed rooms. The first breakthrough came when they made a tiny disruptor. It sent a pulse that made alien sensors go blind for 3 seconds. Not long, but enough. Lena smiled, the first real smile in months. 3 seconds is forever when you need to run, she said. They built more. They hid them in packs and pockets. In the Kuiper Belt far beyond Neptune, old mining ships drifted silent for many months. Crews had shut down most systems to stay hidden. They lived on stored food and recycled water. They spoke in whispers. They watched the Concorde patrols pass by without noticing. A captain named Sophia Chen kept her people sharp. Every day they checked weapons. Every week they practiced boarding drills. They knew the enemy would get lazy. They waited for that moment. On Mars, under the red dust, survivors lived in sealed tunnels. Word gone. But the underground bases still held air. Old colony workers repaired machines. They grew food in hidden hydroponic rooms. Children played quiet games while adults planned. One group found an ancient vault from the first settlers. Inside were blueprints for weapons never used, Cold War relics, antimatter charges, fusion drives, experimental shields. They carried the data to their leaders. A gray-haired woman named Elena Ramirez looked at the files for a long time. Then she said, "We take these and make them better. We turn toys into teeth." Word spread through hidden channels. Messages moved on old radio waves, on fiber lines buried deep, on quantum bursts too weak to trace. People shared knowledge like water in a desert. Engineers traded designs. Soldiers shared tactics. Scientists shared theories. No one led from the top. No king rose. No general gave orders. Groups worked alone, but all moved toward the same goal. Hit the enemy where it hurts. Make them pay. Make them fear. Asteroid Base. A team of former criminals worked. They had been smugglers before the war. Now they used their skills for something bigger. They stole alien parts from supply runs. They hacked weak points in Concorde networks. They built fast jump drives that no sane pilot would touch. These drives were unstable. They could tear a ship apart, but they were fast and hard to track. One man named Jax ran the team. He had scars on his face and a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. "We do not fight fair," he told his crew. "We fight to win." They tested the first ghost ship in the dark between stars. It was a small freighter, rebuilt with stolen engines and human rage. The pilot pushed the drive to its limit. The ship jumped blind and came out alive. Everyone cheered quiet. They knew this was the start. On Earth itself, sleepers waited. In labor camps, people worked long hours under bright lights. They loaded ore. They built structures for the invaders. But at night, in dark corners, they met. Tools. They whispered plans. They marked weak points on base walls. One young woman named Aisha carried messages between groups. She moved like a shadow. She smiled at guards and hid knives in her sleeves. She knew many would die. She accepted it. In hidden bunkers under old cities, teams worked on the big weapons. They dug up old missile silos. They found warheads sleeping since before first contact. They cleaned them. They upgraded them with alien parts. They made them smarter. They made them angrier. One engineer looked at a finished bomb and said, "This will speak for the dead." The Concorde noticed nothing. They saw only quiet workers and empty skies. Their reports stayed the same. Humans broken. No threat. No resistance. They reduced patrols. They pulled back some ships. They celebrated small wins. They thought time healed everything. They were wrong. In the dark places, humans did not heal. They sharpened. They planned. They built. They waited. The galaxies slept easy, thinking the war was over. Hidden corners across the system, lights flickered. Machines hummed. Plans grew. Anger turned to focus. The long night continued, but it would not last forever. Humans do not forget. They do not forgive. They wait. They learn. They prepare. And when the moment comes, they strike without warning. The Concord had taken their world. They had taken their people. They had taken their future. But they had not taken the one thing humans keep deepest, the will to answer back. The silence was not defeat. It was breathing room. It was time to load the gun. The galaxy would learn soon enough that quiet does not mean gone. The galaxy didn't expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. 1 full year had passed since the sky burned and the Concord declared victory. Their ships still guarded the inner planets, but fewer now. Some had left for other duties. The crews grew bored. They played games. They told old stories. They stopped watching every shadow so closely. That was their first mistake. Near the edge of the system, close to cold Pluto, a small convoy moved slow. 3 fat supply ships carry food, fuel, and spare parts for the bases on Earth. 2 escort cruisers flew beside them. Their shields hummed low. Their sensors swept lazy arcs. Nothing interesting ever happened out here. The lead captain yawned and checked his screens again. Empty space, same as always. Then the sensors screamed. A dozen small contacts appeared from nowhere. They came fast, too fast. No jump flash, no warning. They looked like mining drones, old and patched, but moving with purpose. The escorts turned to face them. Powered up too late. The drones split apart like angry insects. Some dove straight at the cruisers. Others curved toward the supply ships. Explosions lit the dark. Small, bright flashes that grew into hungry fires. The first cruiser lost its engines in seconds. Metal twisted and tore. The second tried to fire back, but half its guns went dark before they could shoot. The supply ships tried to run. Their big drives were slow. The drones clung like ticks and chewed through armor. One by one, the fat ships bloomed into fireballs. Then silence returned. The convoy was gone. No distress call, no wreckage big enough to matter. Just empty space and a few drifting scraps. Back at Concord Command, the loss was marked as an accident. Maybe a drive failure. Maybe pirate raiders from fringe worlds. No one worried much. Convoys vanish sometimes. Space was big and dangerous. They sent another one out with extra guards. That one vanished too. Then another. Then 3 in a single week. The pattern grew clear. Small, fast hits. No big battles. No honorable fights. Just quick strikes. And gone. The attackers never stayed to claim victory. They took nothing. They left nothing. They just killed and disappeared. The Concord admirals met in bright rooms. They argued. They blamed each other. They increased patrols. They put sensors everywhere. Nothing helped. On Titan, a massive battlecruiser sat in dry dock. Its hull was open for repairs. Crews swarmed over it like ants, fixing damage from an old storm. The ship was a giant, named Wrath of Kale Prime, one of the strongest in the fleet. Guards stood at every entrance. Drones watched from above. Nothing could approach unseen. But something did. A small human team slipped in through a service vent. They wore suits made from scavenged alien cloth and human wire. They moved quiet like ghosts. They carried packs full of tools and one big surprise. They reached the main reactor room fast. The guards there never saw them coming. A silenced shot, a quick knife, a body dragged into shadow. The team planted charges around the antimatter core. They set the timer for 10 minutes, then they ran. The explosion was bright enough to see from Saturn. The Wrath of Kale Prime folded in half like wet paper. 3 nearby ships caught in the blast radius, tore apart like foil. The dry dock became a cloud of glowing gas and twisted metal. Concord Command felt the shockwave in their bones. They stared at screens that showed only static. Their strongest ship gone in one strike. No battle, No warning, just gone. Panic started then. Real panic. Reports flooded in from every sector. Small human ships appeared where they should not be. They hit fuel depots, they hit relay stations, they hit lone scouts. They used tricks no one expected. They jumped too close to stars. They hid in asteroid fields. They turned off all emissions and drifted silent until the perfect moment. Then they struck. The Concorde called them terrorists. They said these were desperate remnants clinging to life. Promised to crush them soon. But the hits kept coming. Each one hurt a little more. Each one showed the galaxy something new. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not line up in neat formations. They did not demand terms. They did not care about honor. They cared about results. On a cold moon base far from Sol, a Concorde officer sat alone. He read the latest report. Losses mounting. Supply lines cut. Morale dropping. He looked out at the black sky and whispered to himself, "They should be dead. They should be broken. Why do they keep coming?" He had no answer. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. A species pushed to the edge should collapse. They should beg for mercy. They should vanish into history. Instead, they came back stronger. They came back meaner. They came back without mercy. In hidden human bases, the mood shifted. No one celebrated loud. No one danced. They counted wins. They fixed ships. They planned next moves. Lena Torres stood in the Antarctic cave and looked at her team. They were tired. They were thin. They had lost friends. But their eyes burned bright. "We hit them," she said. "Now they know we are here. Now they fear the dark. Now we make them pay more." Raj nodded. He held up a new device, a shield breaker, small enough to carry, deadly enough to crack a cruiser. "We test it tomorrow," he said. "If it works, we take bigger prizes." Sophia Chen on her ghost ship smiled when she heard the news. Her crew cheered quiet. They loaded fresh missiles. They checked jump drives. They waited for the next target. Elena Ramirez on Mars looked at the growing fleet of rebuilt ships. Old colony haulers turned into killers. She touched the hull of one and felt the hum of power. "We start small," she said. "We grow fast. We make them regret every bomb they dropped." Jax and his smugglers laughed as they counted stolen parts. They had a new prize, a Concorde shuttle captured whole. They stripped it. They learned its secrets. They built copies. They sent one out to test. It jumped blind, came back alive. They cheered with broken voices. "We own the night now," Jax said. "Let them hide in the light." The first spark had caught. It spread slow but steady. The Concorde tried to stamp it out. They sent hunters. They offered rewards. They threatened survivors. Nothing worked. The humans did not need leaders. They did not need flags. They needed only one thing: time and rage, and the knowledge that every hit made the enemy weaker. The galaxy watched in growing fear. Whispers spread through alien worlds. The humans are back. The humans are angry. The humans do not stop. The admirals met again. They looked at maps covered in red marks. They saw their empire bleeding drop by drop. They knew the truth now. The war was not over. It had just begun. And this time the humans chose the rules. They chose the time. They chose the place. The Concorde had started a fire to burn humanity away. Instead they gave it oxygen. Instead they gave it fuel. Instead they woke something ancient and unstoppable. Spark became flame. The flame became fire. And the fire was coming for them all. The galaxy didn't expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. The galaxy woke to screams on every channel. Concorde admirals stared at screens that bled red alerts from a dozen sectors at once. Supply lines snapped like dry twigs. Outer fleets vanished in hours. Inner worlds reported fires in their skies. The small hits from before had grown. They had become something bigger, something unstoppable. The humans called it Operation Wrong Answer. No single leader spoke the name. It spread through hidden networks like a shared breath. Everyone understood what it meant. Time to answer. The first wave came without warning. Swarms of small ships burst from hiding places. They looked like junk, old mining drones, patched freighters, stolen shuttles. They moved in packs like wolves. They did not line up. They did not broadcast challenges. They just attacked. Thousands poured toward Concord defense lines. Their engines screamed hot. Their weapons spat simple slugs mixed with stolen plasma. Into shields, and kept coming. When one died, 10 more took its place. Concord capital ships fired back. Their big guns tore through dozens at a time. But the swarms kept splitting. They dodged. They weaved. They used every rock and gas cloud for cover. Some ships carried nothing but antimatter pods, small enough to slip past point defenses, big enough to crack a dreadnought when they hit. The first heavy cruiser died when 3 pods struck its core. The blast lit half the sector like a new sun. Debris rained for days. The Concorde fleet pulled back in shock. They had never seen numbers like this. They had never seen such reckless speed. Boarding parties followed the swarms. Humans in heavy exosuits crashed through hulls. They used cutting torches, stolen grapples, brute force. They fought in tight corridors. They fought in zero gravity. They fought with knives when guns ran dry. One team took a battleship from the inside. They killed the bridge crew. They locked the doors. They turned the main guns on. Sister ships. The Concorde crews watched in horror as their own weapons burned their friends. The captured ship jumped away before anyone could stop it. On the ground, the occupied worlds rose. Sleepers who had waited quiet for so long stood up at the same hour. In labor camps, workers turned tools into weapons. They cut chains. They broke gates. They killed guards with bare hands. In ruined cities, hidden cells opened old armories. They pulled out rifles. They pulled out grenades. They pulled out rage. Aisha moved through the shadows again. She led groups to weak points. She pointed at fuel tanks. She pointed at command posts. Explosions answered her. Every blast said the same thing. We are still here. Deep in Concorde space, human ghost fleets appeared. They used blind jumps. They slingshot around suns. They came out of nowhere and struck hard. A fleet hit the Vexari homeworld ring, the great orbital city that circled their crystal planet. Humans crashed captured refinery rocks into it at high speed. The ring broke like glass. Pieces fell burning through atmosphere. The surface turned to fire. The Vexari who once sang of order now screamed for help. No help came. The Kael'thar capital lost its moon in one night. A stolen moon-sized hauler jumped close. It accelerated straight down. It hit with the force of gods. The moon shattered. The fragments rained on the planet below. Cities vanished under dust and rock. The royal palace became a crater. The Kael'thar emperor who had laughed at humans now hid in a bunker. His guards could not stop the fear that spread through his people. The Concorde tried to fight back. They gathered their remaining fleets. They set traps. They mined jump points. They waited in ambush. Nothing worked. Humans did not come in big groups. They came from every direction. They hit and ran. They left traps of their own. They used the enemy's own weapons against them. A captured dreadnought turned on its fleet. A stolen carrier launched drones against its makers. Their plans fall apart. They shouted orders that no one followed anymore. Logistics crumbled first. Food ships stopped arriving. Fuel depots burned. Communication relays went dark. Soldiers on far worlds ran out of power for their armor. They ran out of air. They ran out of hope. Desertion started, small at first, then waves. Officers shot runners. Runners shot officers. Chaos grew. The once perfect machine broke piece by piece. In the core systems, panic ruled. Rich species who had cheered the bombardment now begged for peace. They sent messages to human outposts. Please stop. We did not know. We can talk. They received no answer. Humans did not want talk. Humans wanted the threat gone. They wanted the boot lifted. They wanted their people free. Operation Wrong Answer had no end date. It had no victory parade. It had only goals. Keep hitting, keep breaking, keep pushing, until the enemy stops being an enemy. Cells worked alone. Some struck fleets. Some struck factories. Some struck leaders. Command existed to capture. No flagship existed to destroy. The network stretched across stars. It adapted. It learned. It grew stronger with every loss. Lena Torres stood in her Antarctic base. She watched screens show green lights spreading across maps. Each light meant a hit. Each light meant progress. She turned to Raj. He held the latest shield breaker. It was bigger now. It was deadlier. "We take the fight to them," she said. "No more hiding, no more waiting. We finish this." Sophia Chen piloted her ghost ship through enemy space. Her crew loaded torpedoes. They chose targets with care. A supply hub, a repair yard, a command center. They struck, they vanished, they struck again. Her voice stayed calm when she spoke. "We make them pay," she said. "Every credit, every life, every world they took, we take back double." Elena Ramirez on Mars watched her rebuilt fleet lift from hidden hangars. Ships that once carried colonists now carried death. She touched the console and felt the hum. "We go home," she said. "Take back what is ours. We show them what happens when you wake us." Jax laughed as his team boarded another prize. They moved fast. They killed fast. They took what they needed. They left bombs behind. The smuggler life had taught him one truth: hit hard, hit first, hit again. He looked at his crew and grinned. The galaxy thought we were done. Now we show them wrong. The Concorde broke slowly at first, then all at once. Fleets surrendered. Worlds opened gates. Leaders fled or died. The great hall that once voted to burn Earth stood empty now. Dust covered the seats. No one clapped. No one danced. No one celebrated. The galaxy learned a hard lesson. Arrogance costs everything. When you push a human to the edge, they push back harder. They push back forever. The counterattack rolled on. It did not stop for breath. It did not stop for mercy. It rolled until the enemy had nothing left to give. The stars watched in silence. They saw the old order fall. They saw the new one rise. They saw humans stand tall. Again. Not as beggars, not as broken, not as weak. As conquerors of their own fate. As proof that some species do not bend. They break you instead. The galaxy would remember this day for a long time. It would teach its children the same warning. Never wake the sleeping giant. Never think the fire is out. Never assume a human is finished. Because when they answer loud. They answer final. They answer wrong. The galaxy didn't expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. 2 years after the first bombs fell from Concorde ships, the war ended not with a final battle, but with silence. The great fleets that once filled the stars now hid in deep shadows. Broken hulls drifted in forgotten orbits. Empty command decks echoed with no voices. The empire that had ruled for thousands of years crumbled fast when humans refused to stop. The counterattack had torn through every defense line, every supply chain, every hope of victory. What remained of the Concorde gathered in secret places far from human reach. They spoke in low voices. They counted losses. They admitted defeat. A small delegation left the hiding spots. They chose 3 survivors to carry their words. A tall Kael'thar with dull scales. A floating Vexari whose lights flickered weak. A quiet representative from a minor species no one remembered. They traveled in one unarmed shuttle. No weapons, no escorts, no pride. They sent a single message. Ahead, we seek to talk. We come without arms. We ask for terms. The message reached a rebuilt outpost on Luna. The dome stood strong again. Lights glowed warm inside. Humans worked in open air. They repaired ships. They grew food. They trained young ones. The delegation landed soft. The airlock opened. 3 aliens stepped out. They saw humans waiting, not in armor, not with guns, just normal people in plain clothes. One woman stepped forward. Her name was Elena Ramirez. She had gray in her hair now. She looked at the visitors with calm eyes. "You asked to talk," she said. "We listen." They walked to a plain room with a long table. No decorations, no flags, just chairs and light. The aliens sat, humans sat. The Kael'thar spoke first. His voice shook a little. "We lost everything," he said. "Our fleets are gone, our worlds burn, our people starve. We cannot fight anymore. We ask for peace." The Vexari added her voice. "We were wrong," she said. "We thought you were weak. We thought you would break. We see now that we judged wrong. We offer what remains. We offer surrender." Elena listened. She did not smile. She did not frown. She turned to the others around the table. They nodded quiet. She looked back at the aliens. "We do not want your worlds," she said. "We do not want your ships. We do not want revenge. We want one thing. The Concord ends forever. No more big fleets. No more votes to burn planets. No more governors on our soil. Earth and our colonies stay ours, always. No one touches them again." The Kael'thar lowered his head. "We agree," he said. "The Concord is no more. We dissolve it here. We broadcast the end to every star." Elena continued. "One more thing," she said. "You tell your people the truth. You say humans were never the danger. You say you attacked first. You say you paid the price. You broadcast this apology on every channel. You let your children hear it. You let your grandchildren hear it, so no one forgets." The aliens looked at each other. They had expected death. They had expected fire. They nodded together. "We will do it," the Vexari said. "We will speak the words. We will carry the shame." The meeting ended fast. No long speeches, no handshakes. The aliens left in their shuttle. They jumped away toward what remained of their homes. Humans watched them go. No one cheered, no one cried. They went back to work. They had much to rebuild. Days later the broadcast came. Every screen in known space lit up. The 3 delegates stood together. They spoke clear. They said the Concord attacked without cause. They said humans defended their home. They said the war ended because humans would not yield. They said the old order was gone. They asked forgiveness. They promised never to repeat the mistake. The words reached billions. They reached dying worlds. They reached hidden ships. They reached young ones who had never seen Earth. Silence followed the broadcast. The galaxy waited for human ships to appear over capitals. It waited for bombs. It waited for punishment. Nothing came. Fleets pulled back. They guarded Sol. They guarded new colonies. They did not chase. They did not conquer. They simply existed. On Earth, cities rose again. Towers grew from ash. Streets filled with people. Children played in parks. Schools opened. Markets bustled. Ships launched to the stars again. No one spoke of the old war much. They remembered it. They taught it. They moved forward. Life returned. In the Antarctic base, Lena Torres closed her old files. She looked at the empty cave. The machine stood quiet now. She walked outside for the first time in years. Sun touched her face. She breathed deep air. She smiled small. She knew the fight was done. Sophia Chen docked her ghost ship one last time. She stepped onto Luna soil. She felt gravity again. She looked at the blue world below. She whispered thank you to her lost crew. She retired to teach young pilots. She taught them to fly safe. She taught them to remember. Elena Ramirez stood on a hill. She watched ships come and go. The dead, she thought of the living. She thought the price had been high but necessary. She turned to a young officer beside her. "They will remember this," she said. The officer nodded. "Good," he answered. "We will not have to remind them twice." Years passed. The galaxy changed. Old species taught new lessons. Never assume a human is broken. Never vote to burn a world. Never think fire ends them. Stories spread through schools, through bars, through quiet nights. The name human carried weight now. It meant stubborn. It meant fierce. It meant final. Traders came to Saul again. They brought goods. They brought news. They brought respect. No one demanded tribute. No one bowed low. They traded fair. They left happy. Humans welcomed them. They watched them go. They kept their eyes open. On far worlds, children heard the tale. A blue planet once stood alone. A coalition came to crush it. The coalition failed. The planet answered back. The answer shook stars. The children listened wide-eyed. They asked questions. Parents answered simple. They said never push a human too far. They always have one more move. The stars stayed bright. The galaxy turned slow. Peace held not from fear alone, but from understanding. Humans did not rule. They did not conquer. They simply refused to die. They refused to kneel. They refused to fade. In quiet moments, some aliens looked at old records. They saw the bombardment. They saw the silence after. They saw the counterattack. They saw the end. They understood one truth. The galaxy did not expect a counterattack. Humans proved them wrong. And because of that truth, the stars carried a quiet warning now. When you see a small world, when you see a stubborn species, when you think they are weak, think again. Look closer. Listen hard. Because somewhere in the dark, a human might be waiting. And when they answer, the answer comes loud. The answer comes hard. The answer lasts forever. The story closed not with fire, but with calm. Not with death, but with life. Open sky. The galaxy learned. The galaxy remembered. And the humans moved on. Under their own stars. Free at last.